Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm meteorologist Jay Kimball.
And I'm meteorologist Jonathan Bellis, and it was a warm one for most of the afternoon today.
Yes, we saw plenty of sky here and there, but when the sun started showing up a little bit more, clouds started rolling in, and some wet weather associated with that.
Yeah, there's a cool front moving through the eastern half of the country, caused some travel troubles up at LaGuardia today, causing some travel troubles if you're heading home for spring break as well here in Big Bend.
Yes, and you're going to see more of that around Florida as well. Yep. With the rain starting coming and starting to make sure have some travel delays all across the I-10 and I-75.
Yeah, if you're heading south on 75 or 95, you're going to want to watch for those window wipers because those are going to be used through this evening into tomorrow morning, especially as you head down towards the south.
Yes, but also with that, some temperature drops are going to be very drastic.
Yeah.
So
we've already seen about a dozen degrees drop here in Big Bend. Some places, Jackson, Mississippi, dropped about 50 degrees since this time yesterday.
Yes, we saw some northern Florida states are going down to make almost 20-degree difference, so in only a couple hours, so quite drastic.
Yeah, it felt almost like summer here in the Big Bend. We're going to get another taste of a little bit of wintry action here over the next few hours.
But a little more about what's happening around with the overview. Let's take over to Ayesha.
Thanks, guys. So currently right now in Tallahassee, we're at 65 degrees with a dew point of 60, showing all that moisture in our area from that cold front. On satellite and radar, you can see that cold front moving out of our area. It's still going to keep clouds here, still going to be cold. Around the southeast, 65 in Tallahassee. You can see that degree change above us due to that cold front. But Orlando's sitting at 85 degrees right now because they haven't gotten hit with that. So right now for your weather headlines, rain is ending by midnight tonight. Cloudy start till tomorrow due to that cold front. All the clouds are going to stick by, and it's going to be a rainy spring break here in Tallahassee, unfortunately. But if you're going out for spring break, make sure you get out of Tallahassee, go somewhere nice where there's nice weather like Orlando. But I'm going to take it back to the desk for more.
Yeah, if you want to go somewhere a lot nicer, it's going to be still in the 80s this weekend from Orlando basically down towards the south. Some places actually getting a little close to 90.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Unfortunately, I'll be in Atlanta, so I'm going to be freezing, so nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, there is more rain in the picture. Saturday is going to be good, but as we go back into especially Sunday night into Monday here in the Big Bend, it's going to be getting a little bit more rainy.
Yes, but also going to be springing forward because of daylight saving time, so make sure all your clocks can be springing forward an hour because of spring.
Yeah, change those batteries on the smoke alarms as well. Good routine to get into, just so those batteries don't wear themselves out.
Yes, indeed. But also with the spring forward, we're also seeing spring forward to more rain.
Yeah, as we go into, again, Monday and Tuesday, we've got another low pressure system moving back into the picture. It's going to bring us some more rain, but we'll be back in the 60s and close to 70 again.
Yeah, you won't see much of just a significant drop as we saw with this one coming in. But a little more about what's happening around locally. Let's take over to Alyssa.
Yeah, guys, we'll be having rain that ends at midnight. And our current temperatures right now, we're sitting at 64 in Tallahassee, pretty mild, but we are going to see these temperatures drop throughout the night because of this cold front that has been passing through. Pretty consistent temperatures throughout the Big Bend area. Up here in Valdosta, we have 64, and down there in Apalachicola, we have 69. So there is a bit of a jump, but we will be seeing, like I said, these temperatures drop. And moving into these 24 hours change, you can definitely see these stark differences. Down up there in Mariana, 18-degree drop already. So, and right here in Tallahassee, 8-degree drop, and we're going to be seeing that drop even more throughout the night. These temperatures are going to continue to drop once this cold front continues to move in, and so just be prepared for those colder temperatures. You can see with this rain passing through, this is exactly where the border of the cold front is. Ahead of this cold front, we have this rain coming through, and behind it, we have those cloudy weather. So this is why we're going to be seeing that temperature drops drastically, and it's going to be moving throughout the night. You can see Thursday, 6 p.m. tonight, it's going to be getting cooler, and through the morning, we are going to be seeing those showers move away, and it's going to start being clear but still cloudy. So here we have that line of moisture ahead of Tallahassee between Gainesville, and that rain is just passing through, and behind the cold front, we see the temperatures are going to be much colder, and ahead it's still warm, so we have that difference, but it's still going to be getting more cold throughout the night. Friday evening, you can see the rain has cleared and passed through. Still, it's going to be cloudy, trapping that warm air in, but we do have that cold front, so the temperatures aren't going to be warm. It's going to be still cloudy throughout the evening, moving into the morning. And you can see Saturday early morning, those clouds have finally moved through. Moving into the afternoon and late evening, it's going to be quite sunny out there with just a few passing clouds. Now 43 tonight, the rain is going to be ending by midnight, and it's going to be pretty windy, 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow's forecast, it's going to be a cloudy start, 59, but clearing in the evening. And moving into tomorrow night, we're going to be having that baseball game. So if you're a fan of FSU's baseball, enjoy those mild temperatures, 55 degrees out there. It's the start of the ACC play, so it's going to be a big game. So definitely go out and support your Noles. And now for your 7-day forecast. Like I said, we have that baseball game on Friday. It's going to be a nice evening, early morning, 43. And moving into Sunday, you can see that rain is going to start coming through again and throughout the week. So enjoy the sun on Saturday and be prepared for the rain throughout the whole week. Now we're moving into Kate and going to give a broader overview of what's going around Florida.
Thanks, Alyssa. And yeah, we are having that cold front that is coming through right now. And looking at the current conditions for us, you can see where the boundary is on that cold front. Behind it, we're getting those really cool temperatures, 37 in Montgomery, 32 in Tupelo, and 38 in Little Rock. So they're getting those really cold temperatures that's following behind that cold front, where they are actually seeing some winter mix. We had 64 for us, and we were seeing warmer temperatures for South Florida, where they were in the 80s for Orlando and Miami. 24-hour temperature change, though. We've dropped 8 degrees since this time yesterday, and they've seen a really large drop for the areas north of us. 42 degrees drop in Montgomery, so they're really seeing a lot colder temperatures than they did yesterday at this time. Even in Tupelo, they're seeing 12 degrees, not as much as Montgomery or even Atlanta at 38 degrees. Satellite radar, so we can see that cold front that's pushing through. We can see that rain that we just saw not that long ago. And as that pushes through, we're going to see the rain dwindle down for us, which will probably be gone around midnight. And if we do look north from that cold front, you can see how up north in Virginia, they're getting that winter mix right now. But as that goes and moves throughout, we will have some cooler temperatures for tomorrow, and we will see those clouds sticking around. Water vapor, you can really see a lot of moisture that's moving in with that cold front. But in South Florida, it's really dry, which is represented with all those warm temperatures. That future cast, again, right now for that radar, we can see that rain of that cold front, again, that's pushing through. That's going to move on out into tonight and kind of that rain's going to dissipate. And as we get into tomorrow morning, Florida is going to see a lot of cloud coverage, but as we move into Saturday, those clouds are going to move out and we will see some sun, although the cool temperatures will be sticking around for our spring break. Tonight's forecast, 43 degrees, and again, those warmer temperatures down in South Florida. Tomorrow's forecast, 59, cooler temperatures, and South Florida, again, is going to be warmer, 64 for us right now in Tallahassee. Satellite radar is moving on out, and I'm going to give this to the desk.
Yeah, you look down south, look at those 70s and 80s down south. Where do you actually really think about the heat? Out in Hawaii, but actually back on this day in 1958, it was the rain that they were talking about.
Yes, they saw 17.41 inches of rain. That was the greatest rain in 24 hours in the city's history.
Yeah, if you think about it, they don't get really a whole lot of rainfall. We're always talking about that sunshine and those awesome conditions out there. They had 18 inches of rain. Think about those mountain peaks, snow up there.
Yes, but speaking of snow, let's go take it back to Washington, D.C. back in 1821. They had the second outdoor inauguration back with President Monroe.
Yeah, they had a high of 28 degrees on that day, and it was a very snowy day on that day. They had some rain switching over to snow, so it wasn't the best of conditions for that inauguration.
Yeah, they saw a high of 28. That's all they got for the heat. But again, that's really quite cold. But for a little more about what's happening around the cold nation today, let's take over to Zach.
Stretch.
All right, we're going to keep on talking here. We're going to talk about DC a little bit more because we've got a couple of pictures here in just a second that Zach will bring you. We've got that, they had about 8 inches of snow there in DC, and Zach's got more on that now.
Hey guys, sorry about that. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty with our graphics system, but it's up and working again. And yes, we do actually have quite a lot of photos from Gaithersburg, Maryland. Take a look at this snowfall. This comes from actually a meteorologist up there, Matthew Brady, a former Florida State meteorologist. Photos taken from him earlier today. These photos actually show 4 inches of snowfall. Well, now they're up to about 8 to 9 inches of snow. They could be getting as much as a foot of snow. So this winter storm is, in fact, destroying the area with all the snowfall totals. Taking a look at our temperatures across the board, and well, our color scheme isn't loading up for some reason, but it's cold. 28 in Washington, 24 in Boston, 18 in Detroit, 31 in Kansas City, and then we begin to warm back up in the Pacific Southwest as well. And here in Florida, 64 in Talley and 79 in Miami. So it is still a wide range of temperatures. Here's the storm system that was bringing that snowfall up towards the Washington, D.C. area and the Gaithersburg, Maryland area. Finally pushing off, the cold air finally beginning to seep down to the surface for areas in the tidewater of Virginia, like Kate was mentioning earlier. Finally beginning to see some snowfall. Taking a little closer look, and, well, there you go. You've got all that snow beginning to push on into the region. Washington, D.C. got it. Richmond's now getting it. Hampton Roads, Tidewater, Yorktown, Williamsburg, James City County also getting it down in the Tidewater area. Sleet actually was mixing in. A few reports of sleet in northeastern North Carolina earlier. We'll see if that continues to hold up. And then New York also getting it. LaGuardia actually had a plane skid off the runway this morning. They were closed down. They are now back open and operational. Down for us, well, we got quite a line of storms pushing through the region. That's finally out of our hair, and that's going to continue to lower our temperatures tonight and into the day tomorrow. Out west, well, nothing much. Just a few snow showers here in the mountains of Montana, and then Pacific Southwest looking pretty clear as well. The jet stream really dipping in, bringing in a lot more of that colder air. That's going to begin to influence our week next week with a lot of cooler conditions across the board. New York, you're still really the only travel delay, 67 minutes. It was at 120 earlier, but again, we're finally getting back into the scheme of things with LaGuardia catching up. Tonight, it's going to be a cold one across the nation. 1 in Detroit, 7 in Minneapolis, and 14 in D.C., 71 for Miami. And then tomorrow, 80s in Miami, that front finally pushing through the panhandle of Florida, panhandle of Florida and peninsula of Florida, and the 30s up in the northeast. Let's take it out to a local with Brandon. Tell us more what's going on, man.
Thank you, Zach. Looking at today's highs and lows, it was actually 83 degrees, not 81, and it's actually 2 off the record about this time, 1955, which was 85. It was about 64 was the low, and we're going to continue to see these cooler temperatures as the day and the weekend comes along because of this cold front passing through. Going into our today's highs, it was, like I said, it was 83 in Tallahassee instead of 81, 81 in Thomasville, 80 in Valdosta, so it was about the same across the whole Big Bend area. Now we're going into around the Big Bend right now, 64 in Tallahassee, 57 in Quincy, 59 in Bainbridge. And so, as I said before, the cooler temperatures are going to continue to get cooler and cooler as the night goes on, and because of this cold front that's passing through, and it's about the same around the Big Bend area, but it's continuing to get cooler as we move on later into the tonight. And by looking at the 24-hour temperature change, it's already a negative 8 degree change from Tallahassee from yesterday to now. 20 degrees in Bainbridge, 18 in Mariana. It's a huge change. It's going to continue to change because of this cold weather right now. The satellite and radar, this is earlier today with the passing rain going through our area. We had a little showers here and there. It's going to continue, little showers continue through the night, but it should end going into later on tonight at midnight. Going to our current winds, currently 8 knots winds right now in Tallahassee, 10 in Quincy, 12 up in Mariana. So it's about even around upper 8 to 10 wind speeds going on right now around the Big Bend area. Going into our future cast of what's going on tonight, going into Tomorrow, we see as the cold front and the wet weather going through to the south. Going into tomorrow, we're going to still have a little cloudiness, but it's going to clear up, and it's going to be we're going to have a little sunshine here and there, but it's going to be mostly cloudy as these as the cold front passes through. Going to tonight's forecast, it'll be 43 degrees. Like I said, getting a lot cooler than it was yesterday, and we're going to continue to see this going into the weekend. 80% chance of rain all the way up to midnight. It's going to be a little rain just here and there. It's not going to be too much, not like we saw earlier today. And now going into tomorrow's forecast, 59 degrees. It's around upper 60s maybe. It's going to be pretty cool, and it's going to be clear by the evening. Going to our 5-day forecast. It's going to be, Saturday's going to be a beautiful day, 67. And don't forget to turn your clocks forward, as it will be daylight savings as we move on forward. Now I'm going to take it back to the desk.
Hey, Brandon, thank you very much. Very informative local, and it looks like, well, no snow in our forecast.
No, and I'm not too sad about that. I'll be looking forward to warm weathers coming up this week.
But we do have some snowfall to talk about in the Northeast, like I was talking about on my national, and in fact, it's causing quite a lot of travel problems. We did have that plane skid off the runway in LaGuardia earlier this morning. No injuries to report there, and everybody's safe and sound, but it did actually shut down LaGuardia Airport there for a few hours. It's now back open and operational, still trying to recoup from those delays, and that's kind of ricocheting across the board.
Yeah, and we're only seeing really the airport closures are only really in New York, isn't it?
The airport closures are really affected up there, and also we've got 5-story building roof collapse in Philadelphia. So the snow is causing quite a lot of trouble in the Northeast, and sad to say there's no relief anytime soon.
No, but how about we send this off to John where he can tell us about Florida?
No travel troubles here on the airlines here, but if you're traveling along I-10 off towards the east towards Jacksonville, or down 19 along the west coast, you may run into a little bit of rainfall just outside of our region here across Florida. And this line is going to continue down towards the south. This is also bringing a lot colder air up towards the north and west. Some of these clouds are starting to filter in. Some of these darker clouds are starting to filter into the Mobile area. They actually brought a little bit of sleet and some snowflakes up into Alabama and Mississippi. Up in Mississippi, they dropped about 50 degrees in some spots since yesterday. But here in Florida, we're talking about 83 degrees in Orlando, 80 degrees in West Palm Beach, dropping 40 degrees as you head west. Pensacola sitting down there at a very chilly 41 degrees. That really shows the front that's parked just east of Tallahassee here, the division between this very warm air along the peninsula and the colder air along the panhandle here. 64 degrees, that's sitting very close to the dew point, so it can't drop quite yet, but that cold air will reach us here during the next couple of hours. Off towards the west, there was actually some sleet pellets mixed in here with some of this rainfall up towards Montgomery, but off towards the east, down towards the south as well. We're talking all rain here across Georgia, starting to get into the Waycross area. In Tallahassee, we had that rainfall earlier today. Again, off towards Lake City, over the Swanee River Valley, we're talking about some late to moderate rainfall. This line is holding together pretty well so far. This is going to continue to fall apart as it heads through the overnight hours, really losing that heating of the day off towards the east and south. But look at this temperature change, 64 degrees in Tallahassee and Valdosta, 74 in Cross City. Off towards the west, the icebox of the state, 44 degrees in Crestview, 44, the cooler spot in the state right now at Pensacola. There in the low 40s, 30 starting to creep in there. Off towards the east, we're looking at that rainfall starting to taper off, maybe a light sprinkle here in Tallahassee for the next hour or so. Along Tampa Bay, we're talking mostly clear conditions for now. Off towards the east, a couple of sea breeze pop-up thunderstorms for Brevard County over towards the Space Coast, and heading down towards the south, the sea breeze really kicked into gear here. A couple of showers in the interior of the state here across inner Miami-Dade County. It's kept those temperatures a little bit cooler along the coast. Temperatures in the 70s and low 80s along Miami up towards West Palm Beach. Inland, they were up into the middle 80s, and that's what sparked some of those pop-up storms there in the inland portions of the state. 63 is where we're going to start for tonight. We're going to drop off here in Tallahassee into the 40s during the overnight hours. Still warm down towards the south. We bumped right back up into the 80s down south. Miami reaching right around 80 degrees. Fort Myers at 83. 51 degrees is about all we'll muster during the afternoon hours tomorrow. Tonight we're talking about 43 degrees here in Tallahassee, 66 in Fort Myers. But now we're talking about a special report here, looking forward towards spring break here with Matt.
Thank you so much, John. We got a special report. My favorite time of year here at FSU is spring break. The temperatures start to change and really the fun starts to begin. But we also have to talk. Flowers are blooming, the sun is shining, and the temperatures are rising. Well, these flowers aren't here for just show. Spring is in the air, and we're going to be talking about that. Flowers are blooming, the sun is shining, and the temperatures are rising. That can only mean one thing: spring break. The much anticipated collegiate holiday is right around the corner, and your spring break weather outlook is looking great if you're heading down the state. Down in Miami, Florida, you're seeing sunny conditions as well as some passing clouds, but if you're heading on over to Pensacola, Florida, cooler conditions are in store there with a couple of passing showers as well. But before you dive into the water, take a look at these safety tips. It is that time of year again. Many people are hopping on a plane and saying see you later to FSU for a much needed break. But it's always important to keep in mind some safety this spring break. The well-known rip current can be caused by many things, but for the most part they are caused by holes in sandbars along the coast. As the wave passes over the sandbar and the water rushes towards the shoreline, it needs somewhere to escape back out to sea. And thus a rip current is born from the water passing back through the hole in the sandbar. If caught up in one, it will rush you out to sea at a high rate of speed and can be very difficult to swim out of. These rip currents have the power to drag you hundreds of yards from your initial location, and you may not know you're in one until it's too late. As the winds pick up along the beach, these rip currents can become more pronounced, as seen here. When caught up in one, the best way to escape is to swim parallel to the shore. Before diving in the water, don't forget about lightning. When you hit the white sands, look around for ominous clouds, and also check the radar, and do the simple ear test, listening for thunder. If you're heading outside this spring break on the beach and there's a storm around you, you could still get struck by lightning even though the storm is miles away. So if you happen to go to the beach and you hear thunder, the better idea, just head on indoors. We are ready for another fun and safe spring break here at FSU Weather. For now, we're going to send it back live to the studio. Spring break is just around the corner. If you are heading out of town over the next day or two, remember to drive safely, and if there's water on the road, also slow down a little bit. And driving at night, don't forget to keep those lights on. So many times I see people not turn their lights on, but spring break is coming. It is just around the corner. If you're hitting the beach, be sure to follow those tips. But right now, I'm really excited for spring break. How about you guys at the desk?
Well, I'm definitely excited for spring break, and when I think spring break, I think beaches, and TripAdvisor actually came out with the top 10 best beaches today.
Top 10 beaches,
yeah,
really?
And guess how many Florida had?
4.
6, actually.
6, really?
Yes.
Wow.
I know.
What were some of these 6 beaches?
Well, they had St. Pete and
Okay.
Pensacola, which
Okay.
I know a lot of people are aware of here. Clearwater and St. Augustine were 2 others. And we also had Siesta Beach and Pensacola. Did I mention that? I don't know.
Panama City.
Panama
You
City,
got
that was
Panama
the other
City
one.
right there too. And I believe Siesta Beach and St. Pete were 1 and 2 on the list, and then we rounded out with 8, 9, and 10 as well.
Yeah, which
So that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
The other 5 beaches, if you were curious, 5 beaches, 4 beaches. 3 were in Hawaii and 1 was in California. So it ended up being pretty good win for the state of Florida.
That's pretty good for
exactly,
us.
right?
Yeah.
Sounds really good. Hey, I can't wait for spring break. Let's send it out for one more local before we get there with Reuben. Reuben.
Thank you, Zach. Well, if you didn't hear earlier, we almost broke a record today. We reached 83 degrees, which was 2 degrees off our record of 85 degrees. This was temperatures taken at the Tallahassee airport back in 1955, that is. Now, looking at our satellite and radar, we see this nicely developed squall line storm its way through our area earlier today, which is the very front of that cold front that's causing these massive temperature changes. As you can see, the nice wintry weather that Alabama and northern Georgia was dealing with earlier today. And our current conditions, you can see this crazy map of temperatures. You rarely see 80s and 30s on the southeast map. It is currently 83 degrees down in Orlando. However, it's already 37 in Montgomery and 32 in Meridian. So massive temperature swings, and this is just the beginning of those massive temperature swings. Current winds, the wind has picked up significantly because of that cold front that has stormed through our area. Right now, the winds are blowing 8 miles per hour in Tallahassee, 20 miles per hour in Dothan, 14 miles per hour in Panama City, 20 in Pensacola. So it's just a blustery evening. It's going to be cloudy, and it's just going to be very, very cold. Our futurecast temperatures, we're about mid-50s to 60 degrees right now, which is already a 20-degree drop for most of us as we hit 83 degrees today. We're going to be waking up to about 48 to 53 degrees around the Big Bend area, which is a huge drop. That's almost a 40-degree drop in one night, which is something you rarely see in our area. We're barely going to reach 50 degrees, maybe 51 and 52, a little bit warmer down toward Apalachicola, but it's going to be significantly different. It's going to be very cloudy, and it's just going to be a non-comfortable day out there as we experienced the first 3 days of this week. And we can see it's going to be freezing right before we know it Saturday morning at about 29 to 36 degrees around our area. So tonight's forecast, we're looking at about 43 degrees, a dreary night. The rain will be ending by midnight. It will be very windy. The winds will be coming out of the north as they're shifting from the south because of the cold front at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. Looking at tomorrow's forecast, 59 degrees. It'll be cloudy. It'll be clearing slowly as the day goes on. The winds will be up there 10 to 15 miles per hour. Just in time for FSU baseball, our ACC opener against Boston College. It'll be 55 at the start with the winds at about 10 miles per hour. So looking at that 7-day forecast, 59, 67, it will start to gradually warm up. And before we know it, we'll see more rain. And before we know that, more rain will be gone and we'll see beautiful conditions. Back to the desk.
Hey, thanks, Reuben. It does look really nice this weekend. In fact, we've got quite a lot of things to do this weekend. But before we talk about that, let's first celebrate Alyssa, who did our first local today, her very first show. Last Thursday, we integrated quite a lot of people into our show, and we finally got to integrate yet another one into our FSU.
Big applause to her.
Yeah, big applause.
Yeah.
But we do have quite a lot to talk about on our show, or coming up for this week. It's spring break.
Yeah.
It's our last FSU weather show before spring break, and we have quite a lot. Harlem Globetrotters tonight at Tucker, 7 o'clock in about 30 minutes. We have baseball tomorrow at 6.
Lots of baseball.
Yeah, we've got a lot. Who
We
do
have
play?
Boston College for this weekend, and then we play UCF into the beginning of next week, and then we finish off with Wake Forest.
It's going to be a pretty fun time
Yeah.
with all that. So I'm excited about it. The weather looks kind of iffy come next week, but at least for the weekend, it looks okay for playing ball. But hey, social media.
Like us on Facebook.com/FSU Weather, or you can follow us on Twitter.
And Instagram and live stream as well.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. We're everywhere with our social media. But have a good night, guys. I'm student meteorologist Zach Covey.